Hello, friends. Welcome back to Out of Patience. In the world of science, where logic is sacred and chaos is in charge, things fall apart for reasons no one writes down. When ambition collides with bureaucracy, when brilliance hits a budget ceiling, when the system tells you to quit, one guy stays behind to take notes. So when the bench goes sideways, we send in Oliver Bogler. Here is the latest dispatch from Standard Deviation. Take it away, Oliver.
The science fiction author William Gibson likes to say, "The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed." This is also true of healthcare. Even in wealthy countries like the US, there are significant disparities. These disparities often arise in large part from the kinds of social and structural conditions that shape our daily lives. Imagine two neighborhoods. In one, there are parks and sidewalks, grocery stores and restaurants, and safe streets. In the other, residents face a food desert, fast food, no places to walk or play, and concerns about crime and policing. Both communities face health risks, but the burden is not the same. Trying to understand why these inequities persist and developing effective remedies is what the discipline of health disparities is all about. Our story today is about one rising star in this field, Dr. Jaime Slaughter-Acey, an associate professor of epidemiology, and what happened to her research program.
I don't think I'll ever forget that moment, in all honesty. It was pretty traumatic.
Jaime had received news that her National Institutes of Health grant, worth over $2.4 million, had been abruptly canceled. I'm Dr. Oliver Bogler, a cancer biologist supporting scientists and telling their stories. To understand the true significance of what happened, we need to start with the problem Jaime and her team were tackling.
Black women have been dying at a higher rate in relationship to pregnancy for over a century. And the same thing is true for their Black infants.
Jaime wanted to understand why Black women in the U.S. face double the risk of adverse birth outcomes compared to white women. It doesn't have to be this way.
Like if we were to look at the rate of infant mortality or preterm birth in the US relative to Cuba, we'd find that Cuba has better outcomes for these national indicators than the United States.
Jaime explains that part of the reason we still have such poor outcomes in some communities is that health risk is often treated at the individual level in the US rather than at the population level.
A focus totally on individual level factors like how a mom eats, whether she smokes, drinks, goes and gets prenatal care, has not reduced that disparity because those things only account for max 10, maybe you can get up to 15% of the difference in health outcomes by race, ethnicity.
By also looking at population-level determinants and how these are transmitted across generations, you can make more progress. And so Jaime focused her work at this level.
If my research can be translated into action, then you would see this dramatic decrease in maternal mortality and infant mortality rates, but you would also see a closing of the racial and ethnic disparities that exist.
The study that was canceled, called Life 2, was innovative.
So Life 2, it is a cohort study that looks at how the social environment across a Black woman's life affects her epigenome, which is a set of chemical markers that act like switches, turning on or off genes in response to stress and other life experiences.
The hypothesis Jaime and her team were testing is that the stress experienced by a mom, especially during pregnancy, leaves a mark that can affect her health and that of her baby via something called the epigenome. If your genes are the blueprint, then the epigenome is a set of sticky notes attached to it that modify how the builder interprets the plans. These sticky notes shift around as we age and also as we experience stress, and understanding how that affects health was Jaime's goal. Life 2 builds on more than 15 years of work that Jaime had already done, including during her postdoc years. The current phase recruited its first mom in June of 2022. The work was happening in Detroit, a community with need that has a research advantage.
When a person is born in the state of Michigan, by law, the hospital performs a heel prick to get generally about 5 drops of blood on a little card. And that card is preserved.
Most states discard these cards after a few years, but in Michigan, they're kept.
So that means for every woman that is in our study, we have a blood spot from 2 time points. One from when she was born, and the second right after she's delivered her baby.
Comparing the epigenome, the sticky notes, at these 2 time points, in combination with mom's life history and data about the birth, allows Jaime to examine how the epigenome changes and influences the health of the mother and the child. No wonder that the peer reviewers of her grant called it very thoughtful and a rigorous study with careful measurement of multi-level cumulative synergistic stressors, including exposure to racism. One of the powers of Jaime's study was that it was designed for respectful community engagement.
One of the things that I've tried to do is give back and not just create science that takes from the community. We can design community-informed, community-engaged research in several ways.
She also adopted a mindful approach to working with the participants in her study.
And one of those ways is creating opportunities for bonding for mom and baby.
Life 2 partnered with a Black-owned bookstore in Detroit and purchased 2 baby books for each mom, one from a local author. The study was making great progress, and the first interesting observations were being made. But then the unexpected happened. In March 2025, an email reached her at home.
I had an email around 3:15, 3:30 saying, hey, can you give me a call if you have a minute? Which on a Friday, that never bears good news. Do you have a minute?
The grants manager at the university had important information that she didn't want to put in an email. Jaime called her.
She broke the news, at which point my heart sunk. But at the same time, there was also this switch inside me that wanted to fight for my study, right? So, as a person, you can have multiple feelings going on at the same time, and I had all the feelings, right? And so, initial feeling was like shock that we got a termination notice.
When she received the forwarded notice, Jaime was appalled.
It said that our study no longer met the agency's priorities and didn't promise to increase life expectancy, and called it diversity, equity, and inclusion work.
Worse yet, the termination was immediate.
So there was no warning, right? No way to prepare that your study was going to be terminated.
The message was clear. The kind of vital system-level work Jaime and her colleagues were doing with Life 2 was no longer wanted.
Like, I felt like my heart was ripped out. And because I'm not just an academic, right? I'm not just a researcher, but I'm also a mom and wife. Here I am trying to fight off tears. It was outside of the birth of my child, the most emotional moment I've ever had in my life. The emotions were so strong, except it wasn't about joy, right? And that I felt when my daughter was born. It was such loss.
Jaime also couldn't help but notice another chilling aspect of the termination letter.
Using civil rights language meant to protect all of us in this country, but especially those groups that have been historically discriminated against or treated unfairly. I don't even know how I have words for it. Like, infuriating is not good enough. Upsetting is not good enough. Devastating is not good enough.
Jaime was also immediately concerned about her team members, especially her students who were learning to conduct respectful and responsive epidemiological research under her guidance. And of course, the moms.
The loss of the voices, the stories, the lived experiences that they had shared with us.
This all happened on a Friday afternoon. Jaime's daughter was waiting for her mom to take her to a friend's house.
I know after I got off the phone call, I literally just sunk to the floor and cried. I mean, it probably was like straight out of a movie when you hear something in which I literally just sunk to the floor and just cried. And then I had to pick myself up and I had to go and drive my child to that sleepover.
Jaime decided to take action. She posted her story on LinkedIn and it spread like wildfire. At the time of termination, the team had collected data and blood spots on many of the planned 550 participants, but by no means all. Jaime's now trying to raise funds to allow her to complete the study. A link to her website is in the show notes. She's also determined to continue her work.
You get into research, generate knowledge that's actionable, and that's what I hope to continue to do and find ways to train that next generation.
To help her get through the emotional turmoil of what had happened, Jaime turned to her art. She had some photographs of Rodin sculptures from a recent trip to the North Carolina Museum of Art.
And one was of a woman carrying like this rock, and it was like burden, representing burden. And so I just looked at that picture and I just started sketching. It just resonated with me. And it captures every essence of what I was feeling on March 21st, the weight of what I was having to carry in figuring out how not to break a promise to the people who agreed to enroll into this study, the promise that I had made to myself as a person way, way back, over 25 years ago, right? When they decided to get into public health, and maternal and child health was that place that I was going to focus on. Yeah, it very, very heavy experience.
This is Oliver Bogler with Standard Deviation on the Out of Patients Podcast Network.